It was that old rivalry, the boys from the south up against the boys from the north. New South Wales Country in the orange took an early lead just 3 minutes in. Michael Sykes went over and New South Wales was away. The machine kept turning over, Newling and Rutledge going in. New South Wales had a 17-8 lead at half-time. A crowd of nearly 3,000 at Armidale Sports Ground revelled in the running rugby. New South Wales kept up the pressure. Merrick, Perkins and Salter picked up tries. The final score, New South Wales Country far too strong, 43 points to 8. Peter Ryan, NBN News.
Right from the start, Port Macquarie's forward pack dominated with their speed to the breakdown. Their control in the rucks and mauls was a highlight. This created plenty of chances for Port's backline, which ran with great purpose. The Pirates raced to a 25-3 lead at half-time and didn't let up in the second session, scoring another 5 tries. The best, the last 5-pointer, when following at least 4 phases of play, 5/8 Peter Bennett dashed over for his 3rd try. Port Macquarie was best served by second rower John Moller, breakaway Frank Walsh and young winger Luke Morris. The win capped a great day for the Pirates, who won both lower grade matches. The Pirates are now clear competition leaders.
The height and reach advantage of champ John Wyborn from Grafton gave Sydney sider Con Raptors no chance at Belmont's 16-foot sailing club. Within the first minute, Wyborn had floored Raptors. A lightning-quick combination of both punches and kicks marked the end shortly after. 1 minute and 12 seconds into the fight, Raptors was floored again. This time he was not going to get back up. The impressive performance by Wyborn has marked his dominance in the under 86 kilo class of kickboxing. It was his 3rd successful defence of his Australian title. Wyborn hopes to win some more domestic fights before challenging for the World Kickboxing Association title.
Department of Education officials were on the scene today, salvaging what they could after fire gutted the Industrial Arts building.
Approximately 5:30am this morning, a local resident nearby the high school heard an explosion. He had a look and saw the Industrial Arts building well alight. He then contacted the fire brigade, and the fire brigade and the police attended, and it appears it's been deliberately lit.
It's believed the fire was started underneath the building in a timber storage heap that students use for wood turning. The blaze quickly spread up the walls and into the roof.
I heard it, something pop out like a glass. So I went on the patio and I saw the flame and smoke.
Workmen spent today boarding up the blackened building to make the area safe for students tomorrow. The building will have to be replaced. Local residents say this is the latest in a recent spate of vandalism in the area.
It's pretty regular because Friday and Saturday night in here around this part of the town you can get vandalism.
Investigations into the blaze are continuing. Amanda Bolger, NBN News.
And all of a sudden the lights just glowed. They went really, really bright. We thought, what was going on here? And then the next minute the microwave just went bang.
At just 17 years of age, Toronto centre Gavin Cook is a rising star who played a blinder at Peacock Field today. He weaved his way through the pack to set up this try for winger Paul Bacon. And then, early in the second half, he did it again to put Brett Ryder in the corner. At this stage, it was Toronto 22, the Bay 2. The Blues staged a comeback with tries to Scott Coxon and Mark Jones. It wasn't enough, though, and Toronto were convincing winners 32-18. Jason Neuenhoff, NBN News. At Newcastle City Hall today, the Lord Mayor welcomed the English First Division club. The team is on a 4-game tour of Australia. Sheffield United won its first match against Western Australia 2-1, then lost to Australia's top club Adelaide City 3-0. Sheffield manager Dave Bassett has been impressed with the standard of Australian soccer.
We found it to be of a good standard. I was led to believe the standard in Australian football was improving, and it's been proved by the teams that we played. And we've had two, interesting games from our point of view, and it's certainly been an experience that we've enjoyed.
A late inclusion in the Northern New South Wales squad has been Coffs Harbour's Gary Phillips, who has a wealth of National League soccer experience.
Sheffield United will be a strong opposition tomorrow night, but just Northern New South Wales showed in the past, playing touring teams, that they've matched them, and I can't see why tomorrow night won't be an exception.
The English Stars took time out from their hectic schedule this afternoon to pass on some tips to youngsters. The game will start at 7:30 tomorrow night at Mitre 10 Stadium. Jason Neuenhoff, NBN News.
Oh no! I'm sorry about that. And every time a little baby came out,
as that, you see that there's a lot of actually money to be made from artefacts. But when you have
For many shopkeepers in the Hunter Mall, Sundays will no longer be a day of rest. From July 3rd, they'll open their doors for an extra day of trading.
We're hoping that of the 90 in the mall, roughly 50 to 60 will be open in the first stages, and we'll be encouraging and motivating and educating the rest to join them.
Fossey's has been open on Sundays for the last 2 years. It welcomes the decision of other stores such as David Jones and Sportsgirl to join them.
With only a few shops opening, we don't get many people coming in, but now that there's a lot more coming in, I think it'll be great.
But not all businesses believe it's worth trading 7 days a week.
We can't open on a Sunday because the economically unviable to open on a Sunday. It's only a one-man shop.
Having achieved Sunday trading in the mall, City Centre manager Malcolm Barnes has another strategy to attract more shoppers into the city. He wants businesses in the central business district to change from Thursday night shopping to Friday night shopping.
So we will be open when our competitors are closed. That again makes a lot of sense to me.
This is the device that has seen police call in the scientific squad tonight.
Yeah, Stockton 1, we're at the scene and where this device is at the moment. It's around about 30 centimetres long, 10 centimetres in diameter. It is a shell. It's got a, everything's rusted on it except for the nose cone. Well, I think it's possibly could be a live shell. Apparently this used to be where they used to be firing the shells, and that looks like that one could be unexploded.
A local resident spotted the bomb while on her daily walk through the bush.
I saw some young finches through here in the bush, so I walked in to see the birds and came across a, what do you call it, projectile? Well, I call them bombs, I just thought it was a bomb.
The scare today has added fuel to the fire for locals who are against a proposed 10,000 residential development on land where the bomb was found. They say the area is littered with explosives, a legacy of the site being used as a practice bombing range in the 1940s.
It's safe out here on the tracks, it's beautiful to walk, but there's no way they should bulldoze out here.
Well, it is a bit of a worry. I wouldn't like to be digging in the garden and finding something like that.
Police have cordoned off the area around the bomb quickly. Tonight, the Army bomb squad are expected to be called. Jason Neuenhoff, NBN News.
Police are calling for more help from the public in the fight against crime. On the same principle as the Operation Noah phone-in and Neighbourhood Watch, this is a plan to put your information on paper.
People, if they have any information on someone that's participating in criminal activity, those people can write that information down on a piece of paper, put it in an envelope, and then, even without a stamp, put it in any letterbox throughout the Newcastle area.
It's called Operation Box W. People can write in without leaving a name with information for the Waratah Police District. That's Mayfield and Hamilton only. Under a deal with Australia Post, all you have to do is mark the envelope Box W, Mayfield Post Office.
We're just looking for any information. It doesn't have to be drug-related, any information, and we're quite hopeful to be very successful.
To make sure the message gets through, leaflets are being printed and will be sent out to homes in the Mayfield and Hamilton area. If the operation proves to be a success, other police patrols will take it on. Peter Ryan, NBN News.
How many times we do it?
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
What's your function as managing director? You're all shareholders, and the board meet as a board. You're all,
Yeah, nice, aren't they?
Oh, that's a nice one.
They'll be black on the inside, so.
Thank you. You got paper on board?
Yep.
That every meeting, board meeting, yeah. I just look after.
Yeah, to make a really good product. No?
We'll give him the bundle.
Thank you. I'll collect them all up. Yeah, that's fine. Just open
Is she a little? Does she have any pink or anything? She's a bit. Yeah, I think so. I have to say, she's got. She's fairer. He was dark haired. Oh, when he was born.
"18-year-old Bowden has had limited court time this season, but coach Tom Wiseman is confident his young charge can do the job.
David's got a good experience and he's been a member of the squad all season. He's fared well in his preseason games and he's ready for a taste of it.
The Falcon side has been boosted, with the news Grant Kruger's fully recovered from a cut knee sustained a few weeks ago. But it's a tough task for the Falcons, having only won a single game against the Rollers in 8 matches. But Tom Wiseman says the team is ready to make that 2 this weekend, despite the strength of the Gold Coast.
Obviously, LaFleur and Mitchell are keys to the Gold Coast. They're a well-coached and well-balanced team. They play good team defense.
The Falcons play the next 4 games at home and must win most of them to be serious contenders for the NBL title.
We had the 0-3 start. We've been 3-1 since then, so we can say that, yes, we're back in contention.
Richard O'Leary, NBN News.
Love moves me, and here's Skywatch on the outside. Sapio, Sky Angel, Love moves me, and Skywatch. Skywatch has raced to Sapio. Skywatch takes the lead. Graham Watson home in the Grand Prix. Skywatch.
15, 11 and 3. Quinella $24.80 and good money for the trifecta, $1,034 even. To race 4 at Randwick, the Jack Mitchell handicap over 1,600 metres.
The Seventh-day Adventist Church at Canwell was well ablaze when firefighters arrived just after 5. The brick and fibro building on the corner of Waratah and Minamurra roads was gutted despite the efforts of bushfire brigades and volunteers. Police investigations pointed to the building being broken into through a back window. The fire, which may have been deliberately lit, spread quickly through the building. The Fire Investigation Unit from Sydney also visited the scene this morning. Near Newcastle, a crash on Lenigan's Drive last night caused a heavy traffic bank-up. An 11-year-old Woodbury boy was taken to hospital with head injuries after 2 cars collided, one catching fire. A 2-week-old baby girl and her grandmother escaped the burning car unhurt.
Baby was in the back seat, still strapped in the capsule.
A house fire in Stockton last month claimed the life of a teenage girl and helped spur on a campaign to have smoke detectors fitted in as many homes as possible. The idea had been sounded last year, but the fire tragedy, which some say may have been avoided if smoke detectors had been installed in the Fullerton Street home, shocked the community into action. The Stockton Prawners Club put up the money to buy hundreds of smoke detectors. Today, Lions Club members and volunteer firefighters were doing the rounds, installing the units free. Many went to the elderly and housebound. Residents only had to ask.
We haven't had a chance to put one in. We don't really have anybody to put one in, so when we were asked if we'd like one, we thought it'd be a good idea.
Volunteers will be making another sweep of the suburb during the week and are expecting a fresh load of smoke detectors within days. The units sound a high-pitch alarm at the hint of danger and provide that extra peace of mind all round.
Even if detectors only save one life, it's well worth it.
Well, we all believe many things in common. There are a lot of things we do not agree on, but there's one thing that we can agree on, and that is working to better the world in which we live and to help people who are in need.
Newcastle Knights lock Mark Glanville and his wife Sharon had their special delivery at 3 this morning. Baby Jordan Adele came into the world at 32 weeks and is doing well. Jordan timed her arrival to coincide with her dad's layoff from play this weekend due to an ankle injury. Former Newcastle Knights skipper Mike Hagan, his wife Sue and twin daughters Melissa and Lauren made the trip from England for the birth of 7-pound 10-ounce Danielle. Mike was voted man of the match when the twins were born 3 years ago, but no accolades outweighed the safe arrival of Danielle.
Obviously a little bit disappointing from a father's footballing point of view, but I'm sure we'll look after them and they might be champion netballers or something instead.
Bernard Morton was shot dead during an armed hold-up at the Grange Bottle Shop at Wyoming last August. The retired Air Force navigator known as Bud and his wife had moved to the Central Coast to enjoy semi-retirement. He'd been working at the bottle shop only to fill in time. Today, Mrs. Morton and her family were at Newcastle Supreme Court when a 16-year-old youth was sentenced for the manslaughter of Mr. Morton. The youth, who can't be named for legal reasons, will serve a minimum of 3.5 years at a juvenile detention centre. The judge said that in determining the youth's sentence, he'd taken into account the fact the boy had pleaded guilty and was prepared to give evidence at the trial of his co-accused. 23-year-old Patrick Michael Mills of Tumbiumbi will tomorrow stand trial in Newcastle Supreme Court for the murder of Bud Morton. Jane Anderson, NBN News.
However much that. 11.
The championship was a 36-hole event played over 2 days on 8 courses. Players came from the Hunter, the North and Central coasts. Windy conditions at the Waratah course at Cockle Creek didn't seem to affect the standard of play. The young brigade of Adele Bannon and Cherie Burns were taking it to the more experienced players. Adele, a member of the State team, hit 154 over the 36 holes to win the championship, 2 shots ahead of Toronto's Gail Gannon. There'll be more action tomorrow at Maitland with the women's foursomes. Brad Miller, Janik and Trevor McIntyre are 2 characters who can take care of themselves.
When I first started, I was only 17 and I was very skinny, so I'm more or less, I did it for self-defence. So I used to be get beat up a lot at school, so.
No such problems for the 23-year-old now, as ITF Taekwondo has become a part of his life. Trevor and Rad Miller have been selected in the Aussie team to compete in the World Championships in Malaysia in July. 85 countries are competing.
It's something that I've always wanted to do, so it was really great. I've been training for 7.5 years, and ever since I started I've always watched the movies and wanted to go and compete, so it was really good.
It will be tough taking on the Asians as it is their sport, but these 2 Aussie battlers are confident they can make their mark on the world scene. Peter Ryan, NBN News.
A new law was being debated in Newcastle City Hall today by a group of young people, most of whom not old enough to vote. More than 100 Year 11 students from throughout the Hunter assembled for a mock debate on the fictitious Family Council Bill, which concentrated on concessions and rebates for families on limited incomes. With the government on one side, the opposition on the other, and independent members and a public gallery making up the remainder, the pros and cons of the bill were argued and voted upon. Giving the day a real-life feel, Alan Morris, federal member for Newcastle, and state member Bryce Gaudry oversaw proceedings. The exercise, called Schools in Parliament, was jointly organised by the Law Society and the Department of Education to teach students about Australia's lawmaking process.
If today's students have some community awareness, some knowledge of the processes that govern them, then they can make more informed decisions later in life.
On Thursday, 6 students participating in today's debate will travel to Parliament House in Sydney to argue the same bill with other students from throughout the state. Catherine Lamond, NBN News.
Jill Hanna and Charlie Everett decided to speak out after 12 months of not knowing what would be done about their contaminated land.
It's been devastating for us all because we just don't know what's happening from one day to the next.
Jill and Charlie are just 2 of 16 residents who discovered last year a Caltex oil depot had leaked high levels of lead and hydrocarbons into their soil. Work has already started on the clean-up of the Caltex site, but residents are waiting for the same privilege. Originally, only a handful of houses were to be cleared, but Caltex's own consultants recommended the clean-up of more than a dozen sites. But that's in doubt, with claims the EPA is trying to raise the level of acceptable lead. If it does, as few as 2 houses could be freed of the lead threat.
First of all, we were told we couldn't grow, not to grow vegetables or drink our bore water, and now if they change the levels, they'll turn around and say, well, that's okay, now you can.
The residents have appealed to the state government to keep the levels as they are, so the clean-up can begin. Richard O'Leary, NBN News.